Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you. My name is Bruce Lindsay, and some of you older folks, and you know who you are, may remember me from the years when I delivered the news on Utah television. Thanks. For 4 decades as a journalist, I took pride in striving for fairness and neutrality in my reports on politics and on everything else. And now, as a private citizen, retired, observing what is happening in our country, I am alarmed by the lack of civility in our public discourse and by the attacks on the free press, and more so, the attacks on our democratic institutions. I see Evan McMullin as a welcome breath of fresh air. A man not beholden to the bosses or the dogma of a party. Somebody who will bring people together. Somebody who understands the value of principled compromise. Somebody who can make government work again and preserve our precious freedoms and strengthen our 246-year-old fragile experiment with democracy. There's an old saying, it's often misattributed to Albert Einstein or Mark Twain or Ben Franklin, but it's still true, and you've heard it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That applies to politics. Now that I am no longer constrained, having to be neutral as a matter of professional ethics, I've been looking for a political home. And I have not found either party to be serving us well. I believe Evan McMullin is the answer. A principled independent. Somebody to believe in and lead us in a different direction and get different results. That's why I'm here today. Why I believe we need to change senators. Why we need to elect Evan McMullin. You're a very astute crowd. Thank you. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Ben McAdams. Ben served our community as Salt Lake County Mayor and all too briefly as a member of Congress. Please welcome Ben as he's here to say a few words about his good friend, Evan McMullin.
Hello, everybody. It is so exciting to see the energy in this room tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, for braving the heat and being here with us today. Thank you. Now, look, as a member of the United States Congress, I saw up close and personal just how broken our political system is in D.C. Completely broken. And to be honest, both parties bear some responsibility. Both parties give too much power to the loudest and to the most radical voices. Both parties are beholden to big money, to millions from big corporate and to individual contributors. And I saw firsthand, when I was in Congress, how the voice of the many is drowned out by the wallets of the few. When I served in Congress, I honestly couldn't imagine that it would get any worse. And then, 3 days after I left Congress on January 6th, it got a lot worse. All because those who took an oath to uphold the Constitution betrayed their oath. Because they worked to overturn our election and they lied to their followers as they whipped them into a frenzy Now, there are those, like Mike Lee, who have broken their vows to uphold the Constitution, who no longer support the rule of law and have become subservient to one man. Too many politicians in Washington have forgotten that they work for us, not for the rich, the connected, and the powerful. These politicians, they do everything based on how it affects their personal power and getting reelected. Look, let me tell you something. Mike Lee has changed, and Utah needs and deserves better. What we are seeing right now from politicians like Mike Lee, that is not what our founding fathers imagined and not what they wanted for our country. We need a rebirth. Yes, we need a rebirth of our founding principles, a rededication to liberty, to freedom, and to the principles of democracy that make our country a beacon of hope and a light upon the hill for the rest of the world. I stand here today as a proud supporter of Evan McMullin. Evan McMullin is a person of outstanding courage and outstanding character. He can return integrity and honesty to the United States Senate. He will speak truth to power and bring people together to achieve common goals. The coalition that Evan is building of patriotic Democrats, independents, and Republicans is unprecedented, and it is a model for our country. It is an example of what is possible when we put the needs of the people above party loyalty. You are a representation of that coalition. We are here together because we care about this country, and we need more leaders like Evan, a warrior in the war on terror, an advisor to Congress on sensitive matters of national security. That's right. A knowledgeable businessman and dedicated father and loving husband. A true son of Utah and true to the values that we hold close to our heart. Evan is what Utah needs representing us in the United States Senate. He is who America needs to protect the fragile state of our democracy. We are here today to kick off this campaign and to kick it into high gear, to show how different Utah is. We are here to rise above party politics, to come together to do the right thing. Evan McMullin is strong. He's independent, and he will put Utah first. In every sense, Evan McMullin has the courage and the backbone to lead us through these troubled times. Look, I know Evan. I respect Evan. I trust Evan McMullin. Let us join together, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to elect Evan McMullin this November. Okay, so next, I have some words that I never thought would be coming out of my mouth, but this is evidence of the truly amazing cross-partisan movement that we're building. You ready? It is my pleasure to introduce the former Republican National Committee Chairman, Michael Steele.
What's up, Utah? What's up? How's everybody doing? Are there some Evan fans in the house tonight? Wait a minute, y'all don't seem to understand. I just flew across the country, and that's all you gonna give me? So there are some Evan fans in the house tonight, right? So you guys are ready and willing and able to do the work, right? Right, that's what I'm talking about. Well, it gives me an enormous amount of pleasure to be here in your backyard for my friend Evan McMullin. As a former Lieutenant Governor of Maryland and former Chairman of the Republican National Committee, it is always great to see a room of motivated, excited, energized, ready? Ready? You feel it? Citizens who care about their country, they care about their community, and they're prepared to engage in one of the most historic and important races in America. That is each one of you. So, very much like my good friends Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, I am a Republican who has been abandoned by his party. And it quite honestly sickens me to know that the party of Lincoln, the party of Reagan, the party of Bush has become a cult of personality to one man. The Republican Party of Donald Trump, let's not get it twisted, is not conservative. Its orientation is not around the Constitution or the rule of law, but rather white nationalism and insurrection. It embraces conspiracy theories, promotes ideas like lasers from space, starting wildfires in California. But more sinister are the cause for the hanging of the Vice President of the United States. This kind of crazy and treasonous talk allows a man who lost the presidential election by 7 million votes. 7 million votes. Insists that he should be reinstated as President of the United States. So he can insist till the cows come home, but that ain't happening. The party of Donald Trump is dangerous to the future of America. It is dangerous to our individual freedom. It is dangerous to the rule of law. It is dangerous to our democracy. And we, each one of us, must not underestimate the menace that he and the MAGA party pose to our country. So like so many of you, I fear we are losing our moral authority, our ability to govern ourselves, the principles upon which this nation was born, and the very freedoms that secure our pursuit of liberty. Opportunity and individual freedom, folks, are under attack. You get that? You understand what that means? The free press is villainized. Alternative facts replace reality. Truth is optional. The MAGA party is a direct threat to everything we hold dear and that we love about this state and about our country. Too many of the leaders in my party have lost their minds and their backbone. They've abandoned their values, and without hesitation, they've bent the knee in their allegiance to a would-be autocrat. Speaking of Mike Lee, y'all forget I had to deal with Mike Lee back in 2010 when he took out Senator Bob Bennett, remember? Mike has become one of those politicians. Now, understand, he criticized Trump when he ran for president, and he actually voted for Evan McMullin. All right? Are we clear? Are we clear about who we're talking about? All right. So you folks, you understand who we're talking about, right? Mike Lee voted for Evan McMullin. So it should be real easy for us to vote for Evan McMullin this time around, right? We can do it this time. But here's the rub. Then Mike Lee abandons that very self-same conservatism and the Constitution to become a willing cheerleader for anything and everything Donald Trump said and did. Weakness is not a virtue. Putting one man above the people you represent is not public service. Becoming a co-conspirator in the effort to overturn an election to keep Trump in power is reprehensible. As they say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time, right? Well, Mike Lee has shown us who he really is. He's about the personal power, getting reelected. Those are the things that motivate him. So my question to you tonight is, what motivates you? What motivates you? Strong, principled leaders who want to protect our weakened democracy. Men and women of good order and goodwill. And that's why we're here this evening. Because the good people of Utah, y'all got the man. You got the leader. You know who he is. I don't have to tell you. But it's Evan McMullin. Evan is the warrior. He is the patriot. He is the truth teller. He is the common sense conservative. He is that someone who came from modest means. He is someone who served our country with distinction and honor. He saved lives and made us all much safer after the horrors of 9/11. Evan is a self-made consensus builder who will bring people together and get things done. You've heard it already. You know it. You've watched it up close and personal. It's why you're in the room tonight. Just look around, right? Your neighbors, your friends, people you're meeting for the first time, all gathered for the cause, for the movement. Because this is truly a strong cross-partisan coalition capable of having an impact not just here in Utah, but folks, you get to set an example for the rest of our country. You get to set the example. Evan McMullin will be more than a breath of fresh air for Washington. He will be the leader of a coalition of Democrats, independents, and Republicans, all working and growing this movement. This movement. This is what we need. This is why I'm here with you tonight. Because I trust you, because you trust Evan. It is historic. It speaks to the stagnation and the arrogance of both of our parties. It clarifies how much we need leaders who will speak truth to power, have the courage and conviction to lead, and are without hesitation independent, like my man, Evan McMullin. So, get your groove on. It's about to happen, all right? I need you to join me in welcoming. Yeah, the former undercover CIA officer. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, he's the independent candidate for U.S. Senate. We know that. But he is our friend. He's someone who cares about what happens in our families, our homes, our communities. That's why you're here. And that's why I'm proud to introduce to you the next senator from this great state, Evan McMullin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's hear it again for Bruce, Ben, and Michael, everyone. Hear it again. I'm honored to share the stage with them tonight and appreciate their inspiring words tremendously. They are true patriots. It's great to be here with so many new friends who have been involved in this campaign since the beginning, and others who are new to it. I greatly appreciate all that you've done. We couldn't have made the progress that we've made thus far without you. None of it would be possible, so thank you. I also want to thank my wife and our kids who are here. Emily, kids, they're right here. I love them and couldn't do this without them. They're integral to this effort. Also, a big thank you to my amazing team who made tonight possible and whose incredible talents have put us in an excellent position to replace Mike Lee and to better represent Utah in the United States Senate. Thank you. We're here today and in this race, standing together as independents, Democrats and independents and Republicans, and Utahns, more importantly, not because we agree on everything, but because of what we do agree on is so profound and vital to America's future. We're committed to the founding ideals that make America strong, prosperous, and free. We're committed to the basic truths in the Declaration of Independence, that all are created free and equal, that every soul in America should be able to pursue happiness, our deepest human purpose, and that our leaders must be chosen by us through free and fair elections. That's right. That's right. And that any other form of government that runs counter to these truths is destructive to human flourishing. We're committed to the Constitution, to the rule of law, and to truth. These are the foundations of the American Republic. Despite tremendous struggle and contradictions of principle throughout our history, these are the ideals that our ancestors, according to their place in time, struggled mightily to realize, giving life to generations that followed in this choice land and inspiring a greater hope in the hearts of men and women in even the most remote villages and outposts on earth. The founding of America, inspired, imperfect, and momentous, marked a profound and necessary turning point for humankind. Even now, I believe America is still essential to liberty on earth. I first learned these principles as a young man, growing up like many Utah and American families in humble circumstances. And we never went hungry, but at the end of every month, the pantry was empty and the money was gone. I still remember my father waking up at 3 a.m. every morning to drive his old blue Volkswagen bus around our area, delivering newspapers before heading to his day job at the local power company. I recall my mother working at home, raising me and my younger siblings, eventually running a small business out of our garage and working in public education. In those days, we couldn't afford the power bill in the winter, so instead of turning on the heat, we wore winter coats indoors. I still remember seeing my breath inside and thinking that was totally normal. Eventually, we bought a wood stove, a luxury for us, and we spent our summers scavenging for wood scraps, stockpiling them in a small barn behind our house so that we could feel the warmth of the stove in the next winter. It wasn't an easy childhood, but even with our meager resources, my parents taught me to stand for what is good and what is true, to work hard and to serve others, and also, so importantly, to love our country. One day when I was about 11 years old, my dad brought home an old Robert Redford spy film from Blockbuster. And while I had no hopes of growing up to have Redford's full head of hair or dashing good looks, no hope, really, no hope at all. That old film captured my imagination and planted the seeds of national service deep in my heart and mind. We kept working hard as a family, and eventually I was given the opportunity to study at BYU, where I was recruited by the CIA as a sophomore. It was the realization of my personal American dream, evidence that with hard work and with the help of family and community, anything was possible in America. There are so many stories about American opportunity. Mine was going from scavenging for wood scraps as a child to serving the nation in the CIA. And that's where I was when terrorists attacked us on September 11th. After witnessing the devastation firsthand and completing my training, I volunteered to deploy undercover to some of the most hostile places on earth, serving in the Middle East, South Asia, and elsewhere for the better part of a decade. Working with my CIA colleagues and with the US military, we identified and stopped terrorists responsible for the attacks and plotting others. America was united after 9/11, united in defense of our way of life and around our founding ideals. As agency officers, we were united too. We came from different walks of life, different races, different religions, men, women, native-born Americans, and immigrants who loved our country. We were often asked to do the impossible, and our differences made us stronger, more effective, and helped keep us alive. And never once did one of us turn to the other before an operation and ask, "Before we do this, I need to know, which party do you belong to?" It never happened. It never happened, because for us, it was enough to know that we were all committed to liberty and equality and to democracy in America. That was enough for us to put our lives on the line for each other and for the nation, to trust each other, and to work together to solve difficult problems. America's founding ideals are our primary source of strength. When we're committed to them as a nation, we thrive. When we're not, we become weak. Our history is full of evidence of this truth. These ideals have fueled the advancement also of freedom and prosperity globally for nearly 80 years since the Great Wars. But the specter of autocracy now rises once again in America and around the world. From China to the Taiwan Strait, to Russia and the golden fields of Ukraine, from Pyongyang to Tehran, from Mali to Myanmar, from Hungary to Brazil and beyond, liberty is now at risk across the globe. While the people of free nations, including our own, have turned against each other, despots around the world have become emboldened and seek to fill the void, seizing territory by force, jailing their opposition, attacking the free press, promoting disinformation, and restricting basic rights. And sadly, this growing threat comes not only from beyond our borders, but also now from within. Here at home, America has reached another crossroads, and now a great decision requires our urgent attention. The choice is between the path of shared liberty or the false promise of authoritarianism. This year and this decade, we will choose either to remain on a path defined by our founding truths toward a more perfect union, or succumb to those who, for cynical self-interest, now promote a dark alternative to democracy in America. Driven by fear, they are the purveyors of chaos, conspiracism, and division, who seek to dismantle our system of self-government in pursuit of unchecked power for themselves. They provoked fake patriots to attack the Capitol so that one man could remain in power, even threatening to kill those who bravely performed their constitutional duties. Something I never thought I would see in America. They tried to throw out Americans' votes and to recruit fake electors to nullify the election and override the people's will. Even as we gather today, they still push the pernicious lie that the election they tried to steal was actually stolen from them. And now they're working around the clock to ensure that next time they'll succeed. They now threaten political violence, even civil war, if they don't get their way. They claim democracy in America has failed. They want a strong man instead. They insist there is no truth. They think they're above the law. Now in America, many have begun to believe these lies. Others tolerate them, either failing to understand their menace or hoping to selfishly benefit. Though they claim otherwise, autocracy has never and will never serve the people. That's right. It is nothing more than a scheme to serve the very few at the expense of the many. And preventing its continued rise in America will require the hands and minds of many more. And that is exactly why we're running to replace Mike Lee. In 2016, I ran to represent principled conservatives and preserve the republic when this threat first emerged. Donald Trump embodied the corrupt, extremist, and authoritarian ambitions that I'd seen time and time again in foreign lands. At that time, a number of people I believed to be principled conservatives supported the effort. One was Mike Lee. That's right. In July of... We'll get to that. In July of 2016, Senator Lee campaigned loudly against Trump on the floor of the Republican National Convention. In October of that year, he called on Trump to withdraw from the race. On Election Day, he even voted for me. That's right. That's right. But after Trump won, it didn't take long for Mike to betray his own principles, Utah, and the nation. He quickly became a loyal sycophant for the aspiring authoritarian, trading away his oath to the Constitution to serve the unconstitutional ambitions of that one man. In October of 2020, Mike Lee even likened Trump to the revered Book of Mormon leader, Captain Moroni. It was a disgraceful and false comparison. That's right. Senator Lee, Donald Trump is no Captain Moroni. For years, Mike Lee has been nothing more than a puppet for one man, one party, and the special interest groups who line his pockets. And after Trump lost the election, Lee promised him his unequivocal support and urged him to keep fighting the results of the election. That's right. That's right. Though Mike Lee has lied about his involvement, we now know, based on his own messages to Trump's chief of staff, that Mike Lee was at the center of the plot to overturn the republic. It was one of the most egregious betrayals of our nation. And the evidence is damning. On November 7th of 2020, after all major outlets had declared that Donald Trump had lost the election, Mike Lee texted Trump's chief of staff, quote, "Sidney Powell is saying that she needs to get in to see the president, but she's being kept away from him. Apparently, she has a strategy to keep things alive and to put several states back in play. Can you help get her in?" End quote. On December 8th, a month after the election had been decided, Mike Lee urged Trump's advisors to find fake electors, saying, quote, "If a very small handful of states were to have their legislatures appoint alternative slates of delegates, there could be a path, end quote. And finally, on January 4th, 2021, just 2 days before the violent attack on our Capitol, Mike Lee informed Trump's team that he was spending 14 hours a day on the effort to recruit fake electors and overturn the will of the people. Those are Mike Lee's own words. He didn't just support the effort to end American democracy. He used his power as a United States Senator to help plan, coordinate, and execute the plot. By his own admission, he worked overtime to see it through. And this is Mike Lee, the self-proclaimed constitutional conservative, who as a U.S. Senator swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Mike Lee betrayed his oath. He betrayed Utah. He betrayed every single American that has come before us and that will ever come to follow. I think about my ancestors who crossed the Atlantic hundreds of years ago in search of freedom and opportunity, who fought in George Washington's Continental Army, who trekked across the plains and the Rockies in search of true freedom, who defended our nation from fascists and communists. Mike Lee betrayed them. I think about the brave men and women who marched on Selma and gathered in Seneca Falls for equal rights, for the right to vote and to be counted. Mike Lee betrayed them. I think about the patriotic men and women with whom I served, who left the love of their families and the warmth of their homes to stop terrorists bent on destroying our way of life. Mike Lee betrayed them. And I think about our children, all of Utah's children, every future generation of Americans whose freedom depends on the future of our democracy. Mike Lee betrayed them too. He betrayed 14 generations of American sacrifices, all to keep himself and his allies in power. And after pledging to serve only 2 terms in the Senate, he broke his promise to Utahns and now wants a 3rd term. And that's despite having done almost nothing for Utah in 12 years. Senator Lee, our coalition of Republicans, Democrats, and Independents is going to help you keep your promise. You will be a 2-term senator. And after all your efforts to undermine our nation, you still have the nerve to claim to be a constitutional conservative. Mike Lee, you are no constitutional conservative. Conservatism is about protecting our founding ideals, and it's about the institutions that enable their realization in our daily lives, especially including our Constitution and free and fair elections. That's conservative, and I am a conservative. But Mike Lee is a pretend conservative, a constitutional con man. For him, the Constitution is a theater prop, something to pull from his suit pocket and wave in the air when politically convenient, but quickly abandon when it serves his personal ambitions. Mike Lee, I've got news for you. You're not a constitutional conservative if you try to overturn the election with fake electors. You're not a constitutional conservative if you need a two-bit tyrant to tell you what to say. And I shouldn't have to say this, but you are not a constitutional conservative if you betray the Constitution. Now he's scared that he's going to be held accountable by our coalition. That's right. United, our great calling is to reject the lies of those who would tear down the republic and to lead America forward. Our nation now faces the challenges of extreme polarization and an ever-radicalizing anti-democracy movement. Mike Lee, who says, quote, "We are not a democracy," end quote, is one of their leaders. A leader of a cabal of Washington sycophants willing to tell any lie, betray any value, and do any harm to our nation if it serves their interests. They must be defeated. And yes, Mike Lee, we are a democracy. A democratic republic, to be exact, no matter how hard you might work to destroy it. Our nation is in a moment of great peril and opportunity. We must answer the call, as generations of Americans have done before us, and together find the courage to lead. I'm standing here today because I know that in this place, that all of you, that Utahns, are capable of leading America through this challenging time. More than 150 years ago, America was embroiled in another period of great internal conflict, which of course ultimately led to the Civil War. Bigotry, division, and violence dominated our nation. At about that time, my great-great-grandfather, William Wood Sr., escaped religious persecution by crossing the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains to the valley of the Great Salt Lake, where we stand today. While on his long journey, he called this place the haven of our hopes. The haven of our hopes. Utah's immigrant newcomers saw a real chance at freedom and opportunity in the soaring mountains, broad valleys, and deep red canyons of our beloved home. They encountered many challenges here. They knew that thriving, let alone surviving, required determination, independence, and collaboration for the common good. And that's what they did. They embraced our founding ideals, found common purpose, and got things done. Right now, it often feels like the division in our national politics is insurmountable. But our history shows that Utah can be, and still must be, the haven of our hopes. That's why I'm running to represent Utah in the United States Senate, because I know that the ideals that unite us as Americans are key to changing our broken politics and protecting our democracy. Together, we are so much stronger than the forces of extremism, corrupting special interests, and blind party tribalism that have infected our great nation. I'm committed to this better way for Utah and America because I know what we can and must be. Our coalition isn't coming together just to defeat Mike Lee. We're united by our commitment to fix the broken politics of Washington. We are. We're united in our commitment to find common ground, to bring down healthcare costs, to protect our air and water, to cut inflation, to lower the national debt. We're united in our commitment to prioritizing the people's interests rather than special interests. We're united in our commitment to end the backroom favors they receive from both parties in exchange for campaign contributions. It's why this campaign is funded by people and not a dime of special interest group money. And we're united in our commitment to remaining independent of the party bosses who demand loyalty at the expense of the people. We will work for Utahns and the people of our country and for no one else. Because of our coalition, because of patriots like all of you and across America, I'm optimistic about our future. Together, we must have the courage to lead. Together, we can secure America's promise for future generations. Together, we can face this moment of peril and emerge stronger for Utah and for America. Thank you. Thank you very much.